Good evening and welcome to the regular Board of Commissioners meeting for Matthews. I'm Matthews Mayor John Higdon. Today's December 11th. I'd like to start with some introductions. On my left and your right is our Assistant Town Manager, Malia James, Commissioner Renee Garner, Commissioner Larry Whitley, Mayor Pro Tem Ken McCool, our Town Manager, Becky Hawk, our Town Attorney, Charlie Buckley, Commissioner Mark DeFano, Commissioner Gina Hoover, Commissioner John Urban, our Town Clerk, Lori Canapino, our Planning Director, Jay Camp, and our Communications Coordinator, Maureen Keith. I'd like to start with an invocation from Commissioner Urban.
Thank you, everyone. I think that tonight's very auspicious because Commissioner Whitley is rolling off. And I can't ask to have a finer friend than someone I'd like to give the invocation for this evening.
Thank you, John. Those of you who'd like to join with me, would you join me in prayer? Father, we thank you for another day, our very life, our health, and for strength. Thank you for allowing us to be able to come to serve you and these great people here in Matthews. Lord, we thank you for all the goodness and all the things that you have allowed us to be able to sit on this board and to render for the people of Matthews and made decision hard, some easy, but some hard, but for the betterment of the town. And Lord, we ask that you get all the honor, you get all the glory and all the praise. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Well, I will say the reception was very nice. The food was good. Hope everybody got something to eat.
Are we just not broadcast?
Okay. Good evening. My name is Heather Laws. I live in 924 Glen Shannon Road, Matthews, and I've lived there for over 24 years. I want to thank the citizens of Matthews who voted in last month's election. For the first time in a long time, the conservative voice has been heard and is on the record. I, for one, am thankful to see this shift, and I look for it to continue in the next election. The top 5 vote getters include 3 conservatives who will serve on the board. Leon Threet, who is a newcomer to Matthews leadership. Leon actually received more votes than one of the current commissioners. He easily relates to the public and is greatly admired for his service to his country and to his church. Excuse me, and for his personal integrity. Mark Tofano, an incumbent, who has given more to this town than anyone else in town leadership. Mark works hard to give the citizens of Matthews as transparent a government as possible. He has fought many battles in this arena on our behalf. There's not enough time to go through the list of what he has accomplished to improve our lives in this town in 2 short years on the board, but we have all benefited from his efforts. And I'm sure he has more plans to improve our quality of life in the years to come. Gina Hoover, an incumbent, who received more votes than anyone. We will have a conservative woman mayor pro tem. We need someone with life experience and who is a Matthews property owner to fill this important role. Gina is laser focused on the preservation of all that is good in this town and on keeping us all honest. She's a born researcher, and she will always work hard to ensure all citizens' concerns are addressed, most often in person. Although he was not successful in his run for a commissioner position, I must congratulate Jonathan Clayton, a newcomer to the election area who came in number 7 and was only 138 votes short of gaining the spot he coveted. I'm sure you will see him back on the ballot in 2 years. I, for one, will be very interested in seeing how this group of leaders will be more thoughtful regarding growth, more careful with zoning changes, and more reluctant to raise the town's taxes, more interested in preserving what is left of Matthews' small town charm. Thank you, voters, for helping us take the first step in a new and I believe a better direction for our town. Thank you.
Next up, we have Mr. Harzinski, Jim Harzinski.
Mayor, Commissioners, I'm Jim Harzinski, 619 Meadow Lake Drive, Matthews, North Carolina. Congratulations, Commissioner Hoover, for your outstanding vote total. I look forward to your term as Mayor Pro Tem. As I volunteered in support of this election, for this past election, I was asked or ask others, what are the issues? Taxes, fiscal restraint, traffic, responsible development, and as candidate Threet indicated, and I apologize, I'm paraphrasing, leadership. Leadership to lead Matthews and not be led. These were the issues the Matthews voters were following. This election offered an opportunity to change the leadership and the direction of Matthews. I am encouraged that the precinct turnout and their specific results that the voters of Matthews came out to support and begin that change. I look forward to the next Town of Matthews Board of Commissioners embracing this voice from the citizens and work together to ensure the actions and decisions from the board will responsibly move the town forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Lynette Uten.
Good evening. Glad to be here for the opportunity to speak with y'all. My husband, Tom, and I live at 144 South Ames Street, also known as Matthews' version of the Speedway. And when we moved to Matthews in 2011, it was coming home for Tom, and it was finding home for me. Coming home, because Tom was born and raised in Matthews, he and his parents all went to Matthews Elementary. Not at the same time, of course, but there's a history there. When Tom was not yet in school, he was with his mom one day on Trade Street going to the post office, which is now the Beer Temple. They were headed towards John Street. His mom stepped out of the car, went into the post office to take care of some business, and she left the car running. Tom scooted over in the front seat, put the car in reverse, backed the car over the railroad tracks and to the town hall before it was stopped, because people saw the car moving and could see nobody above the steering wheel. So even at a young age, if you know my husband, he loved cars. He's talked frequently about Halloween in town, what a big event it was downtown. Trade Street and John Street had a four-way stop there. And from John Street back to the railroad track, that entire area was closed off. There was music, there was a sock hop, people dancing in the streets, and people everywhere. And one of the annual events within that time, Halloween, was there was invariably every year tradition, an outhouse placed on that intersection. And the question was, whose is it going to be this year? So when I tell you it was coming home for Tom, it was finding home for me. In our prior life, I traveled for 15 years in our business, and I was basically on the road all the time. So I was living out of a suitcase. When I moved to Matthews, I fell in love with it, and it became my home too. So I'm really glad to be a part of that. And I've since become very concerned with the seemingly frenzied addition of apartments and houses and warmth, which begs the question, are elected officials listening to the developers, or are they listening to the constituents who elected them? I'm excited that Gina is going to be our mayor pro tem, being the highest vote getter on the list, and I'm excited for the direction that Matthews has taken, and I'm appreciative of the conservative folks that are stepping up and wanting to lead and not just pull people along. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Uten. Does anybody else in the audience care to give a public comment this evening? Maureen, do we have anybody online that has indicated they'd like to give a public comment? Okay. Move on to agenda item number 6, receive our fiscal year 2022-23 audit report. Claire Earnhardt.
Hi, I'm Claire Earnhardt, and I was the senior accountant on this year's audit engagement. And I'm here to present to you the 2023 audited financial statements. Thank you for allowing me to present this evening. I'll begin by going over some audit highlights. So we issued an unmodified opinion, which is a clean opinion and the best opinion that we can give. We found no material misstatements that led us to believe the financial statements would be misleading to the reader. This year, there was a new GASB statement, new standard, GASB 96, which is subscription-based information technology arrangements. I will discuss performance indicators towards the end of the presentation. This year, we tested 2 major programs. The town was both a federal and state single audit this year. So we tested ARPA as the federal program and Powell Bill as the state major program. The audit has been submitted to the LGC, and it was submitted on November 27th. For your total fund balance within the general fund, in 2021, the fund balance was $12.8 million, which increased to $19.1 million in 2022 and $26.2 million in 2023, which was a $7.1 million increase or 37.4%. This increase in fund balance was largely due to the transfer in from the ARPA fund of $4.9 million and also an overall increase in revenues. For your unassigned fund balance in the general fund, this increased $5.9 million from $12.3 million in 2022 to $18.3 million in 2023. This was a 48% increase. Just a note, unassigned fund balance is the portion of fund balance that has not been restricted, committed, or assigned to specific purposes or other funds. Your available fund balance. So fund balance available as a percentage of net expenditures was 46.4% in 2021, 67% in 2022, and 88.7% in 2023. The LGC minimum fund balance available percentage is 25% for units with general fund expenditures above 10 million or 3 months. Fund balance available increased due to the increase in total fund balance. And also just a note on this slide, the net expenditures equals total expenditures plus transfers out, less debt proceeds, less PAL bill. So PAL bill funds are excluded from this calculation. For your general fund summary, in 2022, revenues were $26.7 million and expenditures were $27.2 million. In 2023, revenues were $29.2 million and expenditures were $28.4 million. So your revenues increased $2.5 million and expenditures increased $1.2 million. Revenues increased due to increases in the ad valorem taxes and sales and services revenues. And your expenditures increased due to increases in public safety and public works departments. In fiscal year 23, revenues are over expenditures by $824,000. These numbers don't include the other financing sources and uses, such as transfers, debt proceeds, etc. So if we do include those, the net change in fund balance is $7.1 million, as mentioned on a previous slide. And I'm going to go into more detail in the next few slides on your 3 largest revenues and expenditures. For your top 3 revenues in the general fund, your total revenues were $29.2 million, and the top 3 make up $26 million, or 89% of your total revenues. The top 3 are ad valorem taxes at 55%, unrestricted intergovernmental revenues at 27%, and sales and services at 7%. Your ad valorem taxes increased from $15.3 million to $16 million, which is an increase of $745,000 or 4.9%, which we would consider comparable to the prior year. Your unrestricted intergovernmental revenues increased from $6.8 million to $7.8 million in 2023. Unrestricted intergovernmental consists of revenues such as your local option sales taxes, utility franchise tax, telecommunications sales tax, ABC profit distribution, etc. So this increase of $928,000 or 13.5% is due to increases in the local option sales tax. Your sales and services revenues increased from $1.9 million to $2.1 million. This increase of $220,000 or 11.2% is due to increases in the recreation program revenues and your community center revenues. The top 3 expenditures in the general fund. So total expenditures are $28.4 million, and the top 3 comprise $21.3 million or 75%. The top 3 are public safety at 44%. General government at 17%, and public works at 14%. The public safety expenditures increased from $11.6 million in 2022 to $12.5 million in 2023. This is an increase of approximately $942,000 or 8.1%, and the increase is due to increases in the fire capital outlay. Your general government expenditures increased from $4.2 million to $4.7 million in 2023. This is an increase of $502,000 or 11.7%. And this increase is due to increases in the administration department for salaries and also capital outlay. Public works expenditures increased from $3 million to approximately $4 million in 2023. This is an increase of 1 million or 33.7% and was due to increases in both salaries and operating expenditures. For your general performance indicators, this comes from the LGC's data input sheet, which is a template that we submit to the LGC along with your audit report. This year, we only have positive performance indicators to talk about. The audit report was submitted timely to the LGC. There's no current year findings, and there is a stable property tax valuation and collection percentage. That's it for my presentation. Are there any questions?
Any questions from the elected officials? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, Ms. Earnhardt.
Thank you.
Move on to agenda item number 7. And since our planning board chair, Jim Johnson, is not available tonight, the very capable Howie Labner is going to give the report.
Thank you, Mayor. I might disagree with that, but we'll go otherwise. I'm going to read the report. Unfortunately, I was out of town, so I wasn't at the meeting. If you have some questions, Mr. Clayton's here and he can help with that. There were 5 matters on the hearing, on the board's hearing last month. The first is zoning application 2023-784 text amendment for Profit Dixon Partners to amend the Unified Development Ordinance, specifically section 155.504.3.c.4 by deleting the section. And this deals with a 140-foot reservation of right-of-way at the future Independence Point Parkway in the Entertainment Overlay District. The board unanimously voted to recommend the approval of the text amendment. The request was found to be consistent with the Family Entertainment Small Area Plan by incrementally codifying mixed-use concepts to the broader area. The text was reasonable because it does not harm the implementation of light rail. The second matter was zoning application 2022-785, another text amendment also with Profit Dixon Partners to amend section 155.604.3 in the Unified Development Ordinance to decrease the minimum building height in the entertainment district from 24 feet to 15 feet and to 12 feet under specific circumstances. The planning board reviewed the height limits in the entertainment district and unanimously voted to recommend approval of the text amendment application. The request was found to be consistent with the Family Entertainment Small Area Plan by incrementally codifying mixed-use concepts to the broader area. The text was reasonable because the zoning district affected was still beholden to conditional zoning and site plan specific requirements. The third matter was another text amendment, zoning application 2022-788, to amend section 155.506.1 of the Unified Development Ordinance for signage on vehicles associated with business. The members of the planning board had a discussion apparently about the mechanical condition of vehicles, and this was an updated text that had been changed since it had been discussed before. There were questions on whether the amended text language included signage on trailers, and the members felt that that was something that should be considered as part of any adoption. The text amendment application was recommended for approval with the condition that home-based businesses with vehicle signage be allowed 24 hours a day and 7 days a week in multifamily designated parking areas and driveways of single-family residential zoning districts. The zoning text amendment was found to be consistent with the land use plan because it amended the UDO to be more current with local needs. Zoning text amendment was reasonable in that signs on vehicles would not change the residential nature of a home-based business. The next matter was an administrative amendment for Vibrant Independence Boulevard, Suite V, and further being designated as tax parcel 193-303-09. The planning board unanimously recommended approval of the Vibrant Dentistry signage administrative amendment. The amendment was found to be consistent with the land use plan because it promoted non-residential destination-based land uses along US 74. the zoning application was reasonable and that the proposed zoning change did not significantly impact the intent of the original zoning. The last matter was the one where there did not appear to be agreement. This is a waiver request for Match Point Sports LLC. They wanted a waiver of the 1-year waiting period to cover 4 tennis courts and 4 pickleball courts. I'd note that, to my recollection, they had come before the planning board with 2 prior waiver requests in the same period. The planning board reviewed the request for reconsideration of a waiver for an administrative amendment. The members agreed that they preferred the current request to that for the planning that had previously gone before, but there was a concern about setting a precedence for future denied applications. The motion to recommend a favorable report to the Board of Commissioners failed in a tie vote, with Jonathan Clayton, Bob Jackson, and Doug Rose voting in favor. Jim Johnson, Chris Huzar, and Lisa Sanchez voted in opposition. And those are all the matters from our November meeting. Thank
You
you.
should have been there that night.
It wouldn't have been a 3-3.
All right. All right. Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Labner? All right, we'll move on to our first item, waiver of that administrative amendment for Match Point Sports, 2110 Pleasant Plains. Rob, you're going to tell us what all that means.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir, I am. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. So what we have before us is Match Point Sports LLC is the applicant. They're requesting a waiver from the 1-year waiting period to allow an administrative amendment for coverings to be built over existing courts and the conversion of existing courts. Okay, so the previous request for the administrative amendment was denied by the Board of Commissioners on May 8th, 2023. And according to the UDO, in the section that we have indicated on the staff report, the effective denial, there is a 1-year waiting period for any type of site plan change or rezoning for within the town of Matthews. Previous request was for structures that were only set back about 50 feet from the front property line. That's along Pleasant Plains Road. The current request would be significantly greater and set back from the front property line along Pleasant Plains about 415 feet. The structures requested would be up to 36 feet in height, whereas the previous request was for structures that were 45 feet in height. So the new request after the and as you heard from the planning board report at their November 26th meeting, they made a recommendation to approve. However, that motion failed because it was a 3-3 tie. The new request for the administrative amendment is to convert 4 tennis courts into 6 padel courts. All 6 of those padel courts would be covered by 2 open structures. The request is to cover 4 current pickleball courts and to convert existing padel courts into pickleball courts along Pleasant Plains Road. Staff recommendation is to approve the 1-year waiver for the covering of the existing courts because it has substantial changes in circumstances or conditions have from the previous request. Basically, the setback is greater and they are interested in a lower height. And in addition, staff recommends approval of the administrative amendment for Match Point Sports. And I'm going to point out a couple things on the site plan before I take any questions. So this building right here is existing. That is a swimming pool. The request is to cover to construct these 3 structures, which would cover existing courts. And then the conversion of padel courts, which are along Pleasant Plains, into pickleball courts. There is, as I mentioned before, currently an existing structure. So really, it looks like they're planning on 4, but it would only be 3 new structures. And the applicant is here if there are questions that staff cannot answer.
So to be clear, the converted padel courts along Pleasant Plains would not be covered, correct?
Yes, sir. That is correct. They would not be covered along Pleasant Plains. The only request is to cover some existing courts. Again, I did a rough measurement and it's about 415 feet setback from the property line.
Commissioner Tafano, you got a question?
Yes, it's actually a legal question for our town attorney. If there's this ability to what's I'm looking the word I'm looking for is for the reapplication to be less than a year, does that set a precedent for other applicants in the future, or is it understood that it's just a one special case?
It will not set a precedence. What you're doing, you have to first make a finding that there's been a substantial change. And then if you find that there's been a substantial change from the original application, and if you desire, then you can accept that administrative amendment and then make a decision on that either for or against, but it will not set a precedent.
Okay, so in general, without familiarity of this particular section of the UDO, there's language in there that states that significant circumstances have to be in place in order to approve.
The board has to make that finding.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll just say from my opinion, it is significantly different than what was proposed initially. It's 400 feet away from the road. The other one was 50 feet away. It's also less height. So I think it's a significant difference. Is there any desire of anybody on the board to speak with the applicant? Or would anybody like to, Commissioner Fano, you would?
Yes, the applicant, please. Yeah, thanks.
Good evening.
Hey, how are you? Just look. Is that going to have any impact on the traffic that's going in and out? In other words, for tennis courts versus paddle courts, in other words, is the game, you're going to have to educate me here, is the paddle game a quicker game than a tennis game?
It is quicker and you use normally doubles. So the same as pickleball in a way.
Okay.
So you're going to 4 against 4, but tennis most of the time nowadays you're playing doubles. So it shouldn't really affect.
Okay. So it's actually going to be a really good turnover for you.
I'm hoping.
Yes. Yes. Okay. That's all I needed to know. Thanks.
Any further questions or motions, Commissioner Urban?
So the question's for you, Rob. Based on my notes, it looks like we were first deliberating this particular case May of 2023.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if the board votes to grant the waiver, do you foresee they have to go through the same procedural, bring it back before the board? You have, I guess, is it still going to be another 2 or 3 month iteration? It's just getting back into the queue and running it like we normally do?
No, actually, it could be that we've coupled them together. We've coupled the waiver and the administrative amendment together. And we have done that in the past. So it felt like the board could make a decision on the administrative amendment tonight after a decision is made about the waiver.
Okay, so if you're coupling it, so some of my outstanding questions would be, like, for example, what is the color of the structure?
Okay. Do you know the color?
Yeah, it should be white.
Okay. Does it come in other colors?
Not really.
Okay. I mean,
at the bottom, you can make them green if you wish to, but the top ideally is white.
Okay. I guess, I mean, Rob, you clarified for me. I was thinking that we were going to be talking about sort of eliminating the or allowing the waiver, and then we were able to sort of debate the merits of the particular case, because even though you may say it's only 400 feet away from the road, if it's not a heavy enough buffer or anything like that, white Kwanzaa huts, for the lack of a better word, are still going to stand out. So, I mean, if they were green up to so many feet or something like that. So,
just a comment, you can barely see that swimming pool.
Okay. Well, that's what I'm saying. I didn't know
literally across the street.
I guess I didn't understand that we were piggybacking both things tonight. I thought we were going to, look at maybe granting them the waiver and say, okay, that's fine. Getting them back into the queue. So in my prep. Seven.
Mayor Pro Tem McCool.
Well, I was going to make a motion for the waiver and then we can discuss the merits and decide then. So I want to make a motion to approve the waiver of the 1 year as outlined in the memo dated December 11th of 2023.
Second.
Let's include that it based on the fact that you find that there is
based on the fact that there is substantial change between this project and the one they had brought forth earlier.
Okay, Commissioner Garner.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem McCool, second by Commissioner Garner. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Now we can consider the actual administrative amendment. So again, from my perspective, I'm happy to vote on this tonight. I think probably white is the best color if you're playing sports underneath it, because it's very hot in the summertime. And if you have darker colors, it's going to absorb more heat. So this is a cooling color. This is very far away from the road, and it's substantially shorter than the one we discussed previously, which was only 50 feet. So I'm in favor to move forward tonight. How often does this board get asked for padel courts and pickleball courts? I get asked every week, several times. And so this is an amenity that I think that people want that live in Matthews. And so I'd like to get it built sooner rather than later. Commissioner Garner.
We'll just make I don't know if you've already looked this up, Commissioner Urban, but if you check out the Google Street view of this property, the leaves are down and you can tell how far away the structures will be and just how less obtrusive it would be from that original design.
Maureen, can we pull that up? Or Jay?
Oh, I think it's definitely a better improvement than what we were talking about before. I just didn't want anybody to understand that 36 feet is very, very tall and, you're still getting up there. So I just want to raise that issue.
Sir, do you know how tall the swimming pool cover is? Is that also 36 feet?
Close.
Yeah, and it's
30, because it's like a V, inverted V.
Inverted V, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a little bit different.
yeah, here's the view now. I mean,
We gotta go further this way.
the blue are the courts that are right up on Pleasant Plains. The building is way back in the back. I mean, that's barely visible. Mayor Pro Tem McCool.
Yeah, I totally agree. Along with the mayor, get asked about pickleball courts a lot. And so to be able to add pickleball courts and padel courts is great. So I'm highly in favor of this request. And with that being said, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the administrative amendment as written in the memo dated December 11th, 2023.
and you would want to make also the reasonableness and consistency statement along with that.
Yeah, Ken, I want to do that.
I left my laptop at home.
No, I can help.
Oh,
with that.
yeah. Okay.
That would
So
be-
it wasn't my fault.
No, it wasn't your fault, but I can help
Okay.
help with a reasonable and consistency statement. I think it's reasonable in that the addition of more racquetball sports is an amenity for the Matthews public, and it's consistent with the land use plan in that it provides more outdoor recreation for citizens of Matthews.
Exactly what Rob
Something
said.
like that.
All right, we have a motion for Mayor Pro Tem McCool. Do we have a second?
I'll second that, Mayor.
Second by Commissioner Whitley. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Someday I'm going to figure out how to play pickleball. I haven't played it yet. Maybe I'll. They're doing both. They're doing both. All right. Okay, let's move on to the next item. Item C, zoning application 2022-759 Midfield Station to change the zoning classification from R15 to ENT on that certain 66.85 acre site south of Matthews Mint Hill Road and north of the Sportsplex, seeking mixed-use development consisting of multifamily units, single-family attached units, and non-residential uses, and being further designated as tax parcels 215-08113 and 215-08133. This was continued from November 13th. Mr. Camp.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor or Commissioners. I'm pinch hitting for Darren Hallman this evening, who's under the weather. Before I get to the item, I wanted to give a special shout out to Jonathan Clayton on Planning Board, who's rotating off. This is his last night on Planning Board after 2 terms, right? So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So Planning Board, I think is, well, I'm biased. I think it's the most rewarding of our boards and committees. I work directly with these folks. They put in a lot of work. They attend not 1, but 2 meetings a month. So they attend this meeting and joint session when they have their meeting. So Jonathan, always great feedback and thoughtful responses to the text amendments and the land use plans and everything else to come your way. So thank you. And yeah, we're going to miss you around here. Moving forward to our agenda item here, Midfield Station. We've been working with the developer recently on numerous items. We've got more to come this evening, but this is for the main zoning application from R15 to ENT for about 72 acres. Very large, complex project. Still working on TIA, stormwater, silver line issues, and then some. So a lot of moving parts here. After consulting with the applicant, the consensus was to push this to April 8th. So we don't have these continuances monthly over the next few months. That will give both staff and the applicant time to hopefully resolve the outstanding issues and get this ready for a vote. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions at this time.
Any questions for Jay? Mayor Pro Tem McCool.
Charlie, is it a continuation or is it a deferral?
It's a continuation.
It's a continuation, right? I'd like to make a motion that we continue zoning application 2023-759 to our January board meeting.
April 8th.
April board meeting.
Second.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem McCool, second by Commissioner Urban. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you. Let's move on to item D. Administrative amendment, Brierley Matthews mixed use. This was also continued from November 13th.
Right. So this is the administrative amendment for the existing Brierley project. This comes with just a 1 month recommendation for, sorry, it says defer there, for continuation to January 8th.
Mayor Pro Tem McCool.
I'll make a motion that we continue this administrative amendment until January 8th, 2024.
Second.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem McCool, second by Commissioner Urban. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? That passes unanimously. Now we're cooking with gas. Let's go on to item E, site elevation approval, Brierley Matthews mixed use building 15. This also was continued from November 14th.
Right. So we have something that we can act on. This is not a continuation. Last month, your board approved the site plan for building 15. So this building will sit actually up on Matthews Mint Hill Road at the front of the development. You see here we have front and side elevations, cross section. And let me see if I can zoom in here. So this is your frontage condition. This is a mixed use building. So there will be retail facing Matthews Mint Hill. And then this is your side cross section. There's kind of a slope down to the existing Brierley. So this is the side profile. They have kind of a rooftop porch element. There have been some questions about color schemes, lighting, and sort of differentiating the that calls these out as commercial spaces on the ground floor. And again, happy to answer any questions you have at this time.
I'd just like to go ahead and make a motion to approve building elevation 15.
I had a question before we, Jay, could you give a little bit of history and context for the approval of this? We're not approving apartments tonight. It's an elevation approval, and kind of where that started and how we got here.
Sure. So the Matthews mixed use project, now known as the Brierley, approved by the board in 2017, is phased. There's a significant residential component as well as several 100,000 feet of commercial. The first phase was the Brierley, which is 359 multifamily units. This is the first project that will actually introduce non-residential space. So I think there's plus or minus 3,000 feet of commercial space. And the unit count, I don't have 34 units of residential in the 3 floors above that non-residential space.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Urban. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Garner. Any further discussion? Questions, comments? I'll call the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Move on to item F, zoning application 2023-784, text amendment, Prophet Dixon Partners to amend the Unified Development Ordinance, specifically 155-504-3C4 by deleting this section. This has to do with the road width, correct?
Right. So this was brought to our attention by the developer when we approved an overlay district for the entertainment district. There was a specific call out for a minimum right of way. The best guess at the time was that it was going to need to be about 140 feet to fit in the future Independence Point Parkway, potentially bike lanes, sidewalks, planting strips, and the Silver Line right of way itself. Since that time, we are headed into 30% designs. We have kind of a better idea of what those right of way needs are. Also, since that time, we've updated our public improvement standards that have this language that calls for developers to reserve, not dedicate, the right-of-way as depicted in the most current engineering plans available at the time a project comes in for permitting. So this is kind of redundant. So it makes, this is, I think, a good way to clean the ordinance up, not to have that redundancy and kind of lack of agreement in 2 different parts of the code. So this is a request by the applicant. It's text amendment and staff fully supports it.
All right, we do have a presentation if necessary, or I'll entertain a motion. Member Demical.
I'll make a motion that we approve zoning application 2023-784, only removing the text for 140-foot width in section 155-504-3C4. Does not harm the implementation of light rail.
Second.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem McCool, second by Commissioner Urban. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Let's move on to the next item, zoning application 2023-785, text amendment, Prophet Dixon Partners again to amend 155-6043 in the Unified Development Ordinance to decrease the minimum building height in the entertainment district from 24 feet to 15 feet and 12 feet under specific circumstances. Camp.
All right, one more here. This one's a little bit more complicated, but not that much. So the initial requirement in the E&T district was that there would be a minimum building height of 24 feet, or really 2 stories. So the idea for, 15 or 20 years now has been that this would be probably the highest density neighborhood in Matthews. And the intent was to allow buildings up to 80 feet, and that you really wouldn't have 1-story buildings like you would see, typically along Independence Boulevard and strip corridors. However, the Prophet Dixon does, in their existing and future plans, plan for some smaller retail buildings. They could be, in developer speak, jewel boxes. So these are like a Jenny's Ice Cream down in the South End, if you've been to that, or with the ice cream place over at Waverly, as well as some other buildings. From staff's perspective, this provides some variety. I mean, right now it's all 4-story buildings, so it feels a little bit monotonous. So introducing some different building heights from our perspective is a good thing, that we've got some variety in building styles. So there were some questions at the public hearing about, how many buildings we would have. So it would allow up to 10 buildings of 500 square feet or less, or up to 500 square feet, and then up to 10 buildings between 500 square feet and it's like a little over 3,201 square feet. So kind of specific, but it does limit in that entire geography, which is over 100 acres of land there, that you would only have 10 buildings that were at that 1-story range.
Yeah, this allows, in my opinion, for a nice variety, and it's exemplified in many premier neighborhoods around. So I'm certainly in favor of this. Commissioner Urban, you got a comment?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve zoning application 2023-785 without the specific number of buildings, because it's consistent with the family entertainment small area plan by incrementally codifying mixed-use concepts and allowing a variety of building styles. The statement is reasonable because the zoning district affected is still beholden to conditional zoning and site-specific requirements.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Urban, a second by Mayor Pro Tem McCool. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? That passes unanimously. I'd like to remind those on the dais and those in the audience that want to have family and friends come for our swearing in. You can do that at this point because we're going to be done with this part of the meeting very shortly. So a few minutes away.
I think this may be a record, right?
Yes.
All right.
So move on to item H, zoning application 2023-798 text amendment to amend 155.506.1 of the Unified Development Ordinance for signage on vehicles associated with businesses.
Apparently, this is going to go very quickly. Just for the changes since the public hearing, we took out the parking pad because there was a concern that they could just build a parking pad anywhere and put a vehicle with a sign on it there. We added multifamily dwelling units that they have to be in a parking space as well. And I know it came up with the trailers. We didn't actually talk about the signs on trailers because at this point, trailers have to be parked to the side or behind the house anyway. So at this point, it doesn't really matter whether there's a sign on it. So those are the updates.
And we got a few emails about that. Does not apply to trailers.
Right now, this language does not apply to trailers.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem McCool.
I'd like you to make a motion that we approve application 2023-788. It is consistent with the land use plan because it amends the UDO to be more current with local needs, and it's reasonable, and that signs on vehicles will not change the residential nature of home-based businesses.
Second.
Any discussion? Commissioner Tavano.
I don't see any language in here that particular vehicle with that particular sign has to belong to that home-based business. Nor do I see any language where that vehicle or that sign and that home-based business has to be the primary resident of the business owner.
There is not. You're correct.
Yeah, I'd like to see both of those.
What the will of the board on that?
Yeah, because right now anybody can park in any home with any sign. It doesn't have to be that has to be related to that home-based business, nor does it have to be the primary resident.
Well, we currently do allow people for work for Spectrum and Windstream, et cetera, to park vehicles at their properties. That it's not a home-based business, but it's got signage on the side.
And it does say must be used in conjunction with a home-based business.
Right. But the other part of that is that whoever they're parking, that has to be their primary residence.
It's will of the board.
I think it's fine as is.
I'd like to make a motion to amend this amendment to add the language that then the owner of the vehicle or whoever is, in other words, parked there, regardless if they're the owner or not. So in other words, if they're parked there as part of their residence, that has to be their primary residence.
And I think that's going to be problematic to enforce. And doesn't that also conflict with what I just said? If you work for Spectrum, you can have a vehicle that you take home, and that would not be your home-based business. You're still going to.
No, you can park it there from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Right, but that has to be their primary residence. They have to be the occupant of that building.
And how about if a contractor goes to somebody else's house and parks in their driveway? They don't live there. How is our code enforcement person going to know if that's the person that lives there?
Well, I mean, there's always situations of that nature. But if you're having overnight parking, that has to be, in my opinion, has to be the person that actually dwells in that location.
That doesn't actually say it for the overnight parking in other instances. But for the 9 p.m. to 7 a.m., I don't believe it says it has to be the person who lives there. It just says the commercial vehicle can be parked at the home.
In that case, if there's not the will of the board to change that wording, I would not be able to support this text amendment.
Mayor Pro Tem McCool, did you make a motion? Yes. Can you repeat it?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve application 2023-788. It's consistent with the land use plan because it amends the UDO to be more current with local needs, and it's reasonable that signs on vehicles will not change the residential nature of home-based businesses.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I second that.
Second by Commissioner Urban. Any further discussion? Commissioner Urban.
Real quick, Nadine. So if we know multifamily developments probably have rules and regulations about what parks, whatever. So if a development such as Brightmore or something like that had a homeowners organization, if they set standards for signage on vehicles and stuff like that.
If they set those standards, they would be enforcing those standards.
It would trump our standards.
Yes.
Okay. So, okay, that's all I need to know. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem McCool, second by Commissioner Urban. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? That passes 6-1 with Commissioner Tefano in opposition. Thank you, Nadine. We'll move on to the consent agenda, items 8A through J.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion. We approve consent agenda A through J.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Whitley, a second by Mayor Pro Tem McCool. Any discussion? All in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Go on to new business. Item 9. Consider agreements for project U4913A, Ottawa Stallings Road Roundabout. Ms. Stujenki.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Dana Stujenki. I'm your transportation planner, and I'm here tonight to talk to you about sort of a unique proposition for you all. And we are here to talk about a developer agreement for a partnership with a developer and NCDOT. So just to remind you all that there is a NCDOT project U4913A, which is on Idlewild Road, and it's basically realigning Stallings, and it's got a roundabout. And that project is moving forward. What's happening now is that there is a developer who we've approved back in March 13th, 2023. And there's a potential developer who wants to help make sure the project stays on track. And by basically giving NCDOT money, NCDOT will refund the money to the developer once the appropriate stip year or the actual project year is taken place. So basically, as we all know, NCDOT, their schedule shifts a lot with projects. We've seen that in our town. And I think because of the development, and the develop is Matthews Village, which was known as goes along with the zoning case. So they, in order to ensure that that all happens in a timely manner, they've asked us to help them in that. And so we wouldn't be asked to pay for anything. The developer cannot give NCDOT money directly. We have to, in order for this to happen, the town would have to basically be the pass through. So you've got the NCDOT, the developer, and the town. The town would just literally give the money that the developer has to NCDOT. And then once the developer, once NCDOT has the money, the town would then get the money from NCDOT and give it back to the developer. This has happened in Stallings. They have a new roundabout in Stallings. This is the same setup. It's actually with the same developer. And so it was, talked to them. It was pretty seamless. We had to work through some, language with our agreement with the developer. So there's going to be two agreements. We've got the first agreement. You'll see number 1 on the screen, which we're talking about tonight, which is the developer agreement. So that's between the town and the developer. That has to go first. And then we then enter an agreement with NCDOT, the town does, in order for this development agreement and NCDOT agreement to work successfully. And so like I said, we worked with Charlie, our town attorney. We worked with the developer team to try to make this palatable for everyone and hopefully successful for everyone. So that is sort of the very short overview. And, we are in favor, staff is in favor of this agreement with the developer.
Yeah, so I have a question that I'm sure many people have. This in no way invalidates or lessens the agreement that was made with our zoning application when this was approved.
Right. So this is sort of separate from that. The zoning stands, all the betterments that they've agreed to do, the applicant has agreed to do stands, and this is literally just to ensure that they can get their infrastructure in a timely manner.
Okay. Any questions for Dana? Mayor Pro Tem McCool.
I'd like to make a motion that the Board of Commissioners authorize the town manager to enter into the attached developer agreement with Well Pappas Matthews Landowners LLC.
Second.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem McCool, second by Commissioner Urban. Any further discussion? Commissioner Garner.
Dana, I think I asked this in my email earlier, but I don't know that I was clear in my question.
Sure.
the current build out is right away in 2026. And if this is, if as the motions have been made that this
that has to be worked out with NCDOT. Right now, we can only go by what's on the STIP. In terms of how quickly, if things could move quicker, that would be, a function of the money flow and what NCDOT agrees to do. We just, so I can't speak to that. Other than the actual what's on the books now is actually more aggressive than typical. So typically it's 2 years for PE, for design, 2 years for right of way, 2 years for construction. And I think this is 6 years. Maybe this is a 5-year plan as opposed to a 6-year plan. So again, I've seen it where it is more aggressive than this, and we'll just have to see how that unfolds.
Okay, thank you. And then maybe a reminder, Jay may be able to answer this. Their agreement was that single family housing will be built first and then road improvements. And then can you remind me of yeah.
I can pull that up. I don't want to quote it incorrectly, but it was generally everything on the west side, the single family, and then all the road improvements need to be in place by first CO. I can't remember off the top of my head. Definitely phased before the main commercial. All this infrastructure required to be in place before the primary commercial is in place.
Okay.
I mean, I can pull it up if you want it more verbatim than that.
Yeah, no, that's plenty. Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Move on to agenda item number 10. Will involve some of my reflections and comments about Commissioner Larry Whitley. And Larry, there's going to be a little bit short because I've drunk like 3 of these waters, and so my comments may be a little short tonight. But in all seriousness, I first met Larry when he first ran, and we had tried to get some of the commissioner candidates together, and I guess I was the only one that showed up, Larry. And Larry said, "How will I know what you look like?" And I said, "I'm a really tall white guy." And we ate at the Americana restaurant and realized we had a whole lot in common, and we've been very good friends. He's like the kid that he's my brother from another mother. He's been our spiritual advisor to this board, and he's made a lot of suggestions that have really improved the town, I think. And so I think we're a better town because Larry Whitley served. One of the things that he's done outside of work on this board is to work with my church, which is Matthews United Methodist, to get white and black folks to get together and break bread together. And I think a lot of friendships have been made. If you haven't been to Larry's church, Mount Moriah Missionary Baptist, it's incredible. We got a lot of folks here tonight from that church. It's the most loving, wonderful, welcoming place I've ever seen. And the food's really better than the food at my church. I'm sorry, Pastor Chuck, but Larry, you've been phenomenal. You've been an advocate for making sure that we cast a wide net when we try to hire people for the town and make sure that we get good quality people here. You've been an advocate for police and fire. And again, this town of Matthews is a better place because Larry Whitley served on this board. Who knows? You may run again someday. We'll see. But Larry, I want to give you a little bit of time to maybe reflect on your own. What you think about your time here on the board.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. I got a sermon prepared for y'all tonight.
As long as it's less than 3 minutes.
And if you say amen, I promise I can get y'all out by 12 tonight. I didn't hear no amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Listen, it has been a great honor and a privilege for me to serve you, the citizens of Matthews. When I came on this board 8 years ago, it was a challenge because it was the first time the town of Matthews in 136 years have ever had a person of color serve on a board. And I'm honored that I hope that I served you well. One thing that I didn't plan on running for this, but it was a godsend. And I was in the hospital at Duke my second round of cancer when the Spirit of the Lord spoke to me in the hospital in Duke and told me he wanted me to run for office. Because America has gotten away from In God We Trust. And I don't ever want us as elected officials, and it starts with the local government. We see what kind of shape our country is in, and we've gotten away from moral values and for things that is important. People are important, not things, not buildings, not apartment, not road, but it's the people that we serve. And I want to personally thank you, Mayor, for your friendship and the 8 years that I served, 6 as a commissioner and 2 years as a planning board. And Jay, I've learned a lot by sitting on the planning board, and I see the work that they do, and it added to my ability to understand what role we play here. To the new members, Pastor Street, as you come on, understand that this board is one. It's not a divided board. We all care about the citizens, maybe in different ways, but we all care. And all the action that we do is not just the people who got the number 1 vote, number 2 vote, who didn't get the vote. But it's about all of us coming together as a collective board. And we all won, and the majority rule, and that's what we have in America. You might not always agree with it, you might always not get what you want, but you're a part of a team, and I want you to understand that as you go forward. As I step off, it is bittersweet. I've seen a lot of things change in this town, and I hope and I always pray that whenever I came to anything, I will always like to think that it was better after I left. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know who holds the future. And I am honored to serve. I brought my Bible here 8 years ago. This Bible has been on this dais for 8 years, have never moved. And I'm going to leave it tonight. I'm going to leave it here. I believe the Word of God will cover us and direct us to help us to do what we are supposed to do the best decision. I pastored for 27 years. On my 27th years, I was a captain with the North Carolina Highway Patrol for 30 years and had 10 counties. And I served you here in Mecklenburg County in this town for over 35 years. Service is part of me. I believe in helping others. And I think if we don't wake up each morning trying to do our very best to help somebody else, then we miss the part. I hope and I pray, and I thank Becky. I want to say Becky came on the same year I did, and I watched her as a young assistant, and her growth and her knowledge and her will and her desire for making sure things are right and people and treating people right. Thank you, Becky. And for Malia, for what you bring as well too. Matthews is in good shape, and they have the finger on the right pulse. And I want to personally thank you, John. Thank you, Gina. Thank you, Mark. And I especially want to thank Charlie for his wisdom and knowledge. Charlie has served for many years, and I think this is his last term coming off. But thank you, Charlie, for your wisdom, for your guidance through many nights and many times that we've gone through, and the sacrifice that you and your wife have stayed here and had to drive to Mooresville after. I hope the express lane helped you a little bit now. But thank you for your friendship and your wisdom, and to you, Ken, and to you, Renee, for all that you do. I consider all your friends. You got different personalities and different thoughts, but the bottom line is that this board is one team, and I want to leave you there. I have a saying that I say at the church every Sunday, and I like to leave you with these 4 words tonight. Always find someone every day to tell that you love. Always, always tell the truth. Never take credit for something that you didn't do. If somebody else did it, give them credit. And the 4th is to read your Bible.
You have any other commissioners that would like to make a comment about Mr. Whitley? Ken.
Yeah, I'd like to say a few brief words, as Larry's been my neighbor here for the last 2 years. Pastor Whitley and I met in 2019 when I was 21 years old and decided to run for office, and he immediately took me under his wing without knowing me and knowing a lot of my story, and he took me under his wing, and we've joked that he's my grandfather in a lot of ways, and I'm very appreciative to him. He is a great man. I'm lucky to have him as a colleague, but even more lucky to have him as friend, and I consider him family. We all love you, Larry. We're so grateful for your service. The town of Matthews is better and the state of North Carolina is better because of your service. And I want to make sure that you know that we all appreciate you. And can we give another round of applause?
Mr. Tufano.
I just want to set into motion a prayer for you throughout the remaining portion of this night and also in the days ahead for your absolutely full recovery. And I know it's because of your health that you're leaving us, and I hope it's because of your full recovery that someday you'll be back. Right.
All right. Larry, it's traditional that you receive a framed picture of the town of Matthews Town Hall, so I'd like to present it to you up here up front. Beautiful pictures and an appreciation of your dedicated service to the town of Matthews. Larry, thank you with Matthews Board of Commissioners 2016 to 17 to 19. You are my brother. All right, we're now come to that most important time of the night, the time that I can go to the bathroom. So we're going to take about a 10-minute recess, and we'll come back and have our swearing in ceremony. I'd like to have my family come up. I have with me my daughter, Summer, who is going to give birth to my first grandchild on St. Patrick's Day, I think. Yay. I have my mother and father, John and Mary Higdon, my sister and brother-in-law, Greg and Vicky Shoemaker, are here. And my wife. Don't want to forget her. Thank you, Becky. I would have been sleeping in the doghouse tonight.
So where to start?
Becky's in.
You can read along with me.
Okay.
I state your name.
I, John Higdon, do solemnly swear I will support and maintain the Constitution and laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina, not inconsistent therewith, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office as mayor of the town of Matthews. So help me God.
Just sign that, please. Renee. Versus the plan.
And you want to say that you have with you here tonight?
I have, tonight swearing me in is Representative Laura Budd. She represents Matthews. And my stand-in mom for tonight is Elaine Miller.
Or she will repeat after you.
You changed it up on me, Mayor Higdon. I was going to follow precedent. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. I, Renee Miller, do solemnly affirm
I, Renee. Constitution and laws of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office as
And that-
Commissioner of the town of Matthews.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office as Commissioner of the town of Matthews.
Thanks.
Okay. Stand behind this one.
Yeah, behind you. In the front. You want me to read it or would you? Okay, sure. Gina, who do you have with you tonight? I know this guy.
I have my husband of 37 years and my son Cameron,
Okay, please put
39 years.
okay, put your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support and maintain the Constitution
that I will support and maintain the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and laws of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office
as Commissioner of the Town of Matthews.
as Commissioner of the Town of Matthews.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Gina, you got to sign some paperwork. Signing your life away for the next 2 years. All right. Mr. McCool. You gonna bring the McCool clan up here? And Samantha, and tell us who you have with you tonight.
Got my fiance, my parents, some close friends, and my brother.
All right. Larry, you got the Bible? All right, please put your left hand on the Bible. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I'm in a bad position here. I state your name.
I, Ken McCool,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and maintain the Constitution and laws of the United States
that I will support and maintain the Constitution and laws of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office
that I'll faithfully discharge the duties of my office
as Commissioner of the Town of Matthews.
as Commissioner of the Town of Matthews.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Kelly.
Nice. 1, 2, 3. Come on, I'll get it up. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Give a good sign.
Ken, you'd have to sign some paperwork. Leon 3. Please come up, sir. Bring your folks that are with you.
Family, friends, come on. I have a whole team of you.
Who do you have with you here today, Leon?
I have family and family and family. They know who they are. Stephen, come on. Hank, you. Debbie, come on. Pastor Chesser, my son Emmanuel. This is one of my grandsons. Where's the other grandchildren? I have triplet grandchildren, 1 year old. You see the bags under my eye, I tell you. All right. All these are dear friends, partners, laborers, just most of them are either my children or 25 years of partnership. That's my mother. Just somehow she didn't get the message here. Come on, dear. No, I'll use yours. The one that you had earlier.
No, I don't.
Did he take it?
Your wife gonna hold it?
Yes, please.
Okay. Leon, please repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Leon Threet,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and maintain the Constitution and laws of the United States
that I will support and maintain the laws of the United States and the Constitution
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
and the Constitution of the laws of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office
as Commissioner of the Town of Matthews.
as Commissioner of the Town of Matthews.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Ron, you guys want to stay up here? You can get a group picture here. Yeah, you might want to rotate a little more towards the center and I'll get out of the way here.
Bring the other triplets.
There we go.
2 boys and a girl.
2 boys and a girl. They're beautiful. Yeah, tighten up.
It's only 12.
Bodyguard.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Leon. He's fine. All right. Next up, we have Mr. Tofano.
Yes, Heather, Ginger, Lynette, Fran, Jim, Craig, George, Sebastian, please, everybody come on up. Anybody else that I missed that's a supporter or a friend? Thanks.
You have a Bible you want to use?
Yes, she's.
Okay. All right, Mark, please put your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand, repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Mark Tofano,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and maintain the Constitution and laws of the United States
that I will support and maintain the Constitution and the laws of the United States.
and I will faithfully my office
Will faithfully discharge the duties of my office
as a commissioner of the town of Matthews.
as a commissioner of the town of Matthews.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, sir. I know Tim's going to say, get closer. Photo. Yep.
By the way, this is my cousin Pam and her husband Doug.
Welcome to Matthews. Did he sign the paper? Got it? Okay. Hey, whoa.
I said I was so pretty, I broke it.
Okay, there you go. You want me?
Yes, please.
All right, one to go, Mr. Urban. Maybe so. John, who do you have here with you? I don't know these people.
I don't know either. My lovely wife and Becky Willard, president of the Matthews Medical. And Fish North Foundation. Exactly.
Okay, sir, please put your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand, repeat after me. I state your name.
I, John Urban,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and maintain the Constitution and laws of the United States
will support and maintain the Constitution and laws of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office
as Commissioner of the town of Matthews.
as Commissioner of the town of Matthews.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. I think that's the first swearing in that I've ever participated in where somebody didn't mess up, not inconsistent therewith. That's very hard to say sometimes. Congratulations to everybody that was sworn in, and welcome to our next 2-year term. We'll be working together. I'd like to start with a few thoughts about Matthews and the election, et cetera. And I apologize, I'm losing my voice. First, I want to thank the people of Matthews for entrusting me to a 3rd term as your mayor. During the last 20 plus years, I've had the opportunity to travel all over the world, to India, Taiwan, many countries in Europe, and to most states here in the US. And despite the wonder and majesty some places previously foreign to me have offered, I've always looked forward to returning to Matthews, the town that I love, the town where Penny and I raised our children, the town where I go to church and receive unwavering support from the congregation and my pastor, Chuck Wilson, and the place where you have allowed me to serve you in public office for the last decade. Thank you very much. Matthews is special not because of the physical land that makes up our town or the brick and mortar that defines its structures. Matthews is special because of the people that live here, people that care for one another and look out for each other. And now another election is in the books and the people have spoken and they have elected every incumbent that ran for office. So what does that mean? It means that unlike in some of our sister cities, where in some instances the mayor and most or not all of the commissioners were unceremoniously, forcibly retired, the people here in Matthews, by and large, thought that we were doing a pretty good job. Nobody agrees with every decision we make. One in particular during our last term involved a large rezoning in the northern part of town. Some of you may know which one I'm talking about. And I saw a gentleman this past weekend who disagreed with my vote in that case. I saw him in a local grocery store and he came up to me and he said, "I disagreed with you, Mayor Higdon, but I don't hate you. I think you're trying to do the best you can and I appreciate that." And then he shook my hand and wished me a Merry Christmas. It's encounters like that that make me proud to serve in this town. Just the other day, I decided to go back and look more closely at our election results. Matthews has 6 precincts and 5 different commissioner candidates won each outright. Fewer than 100 votes separate the top vote getter from the 3rd and fewer than 400 from 1st place to the 6th. So this is a very close election, and here we are. It's my hope that the spirit of the upcoming holidays will renew our resolve to respectfully work together and to put aside our past differences to do the best we can to serve all the citizens of Matthews. It's my desire that we debate ideas and not personalities, and that we give viewpoints that are different from our own serious consideration. We owe that to the people that have honored us with a seat at this dais. I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge our outstanding Matthews staff. Becky Hawk, Malia James, and all of our department heads and police and fire chiefs make our town the envy of our neighbors. Our town employees make being an elected official here easy by comparison. Thank you to our Matthews employees. I wish I could name you all. Let's give them a big round of well-deserved applause. And finally, thank you to my family, to my wife, Penny, who was always supportive, even when my ridiculous schedules caused her discomfort. And thanks to my children, Summer and Jed, my sister, Vicky, and brother, Scott, my brother-in-law, Greg, and sister-in-law, Teresa, and to my wonderful parents, John and Mary Higdon, thank you for your support. Our next term will be full of challenges and also, I hope, accomplishments. So let's get to work. So now I'm going to open it up for anybody else on our new team that would like to speak. Commissioner Garner, why don't we start with you? Ken McCool.
I've got a 3-hour-long speech prepared, so get ready. I just want to say thank you to reelecting me to my 3rd term. Although comparatively young, I bring our median age down quite a bit, and I'm excited to get to work with this new Board of Commissioners. Thank you all.
Mayor Pro Tem Hoover. This is the 3rd Mayor Pro Tem we've had in 3 terms, so I'm going to have to get used to calling Gina Mayor Pro Tem, but congratulations. We're going to vote on that in a bit.
Thank you. I will have to get used to that as well, because that was a big surprise. I would just like to thank everyone also for your support, and I am humbled by your trust in me, and I will serve with my heart and serve this town to the best of my ability. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Tufano.
Yes, a special thanks to all of my friends and family who have been in constant support of me through the last 2 years. Also, I want to thank all the voters who voted for me, and I want to promise all the voters who did not vote for me that I will represent all of you in the best way I possibly can. And at times I've been at odds with the rest of the board, which is no surprise and well known to everyone. But that doesn't make, as the mayor said, that doesn't make differing opinions wrong. And I continue and will continue to take what I think would be the best position for the people of Matthews, regardless of if it's with the majority or not. And again, I thank you so very much for allowing me to be here again for a second term.
Commissioner Threet, first time I've had this uttered those words. Congratulations, sir.
Yeah, at least
Can we help with the mic? Is the mic on?
it's a trick mic. But I certainly want to thank my wife and my family for their support and their encouragement. Certainly my extended family, my many friends and neighbors who encouraged and supported me to run and serve. And certainly, as it has already been stated, I really thank all of the citizens of Matthews who got behind and supported and elected me to this position. I also want to just really give another shout out to Reverend Whitley. When he was in the hospital, I was encouraged. He called me and encouraged me in this endeavor. And I assure you that I will represent his legacy as best I can, but those are some very big feet and big shoes to fill. So, but I will do my very, 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 very best. And I'm also committed to make sure that I serve well with the residents and commitment of these board members that are already labored for many, many years. And I'm confident that we will work well together. At least I will give it all I have to work well with each of you. And certainly all of the town staff. I've been quite encouraged by what I've seen thus far. I'm encouraged that we will do well as a team of people. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Leon. Commissioner Urban.
Not much to say, except thanks to my wife. She gets her Mondays back again for another 2 years. Thank you to Becky Willard as well, and all the in town, the nonprofit boards that really are the backbone of this community, whether it's the medical clinic or the women's club or the historic foundation. It's about what people give back to this community. It's big. And so I would challenge those who may feel that I shouldn't be up here again, but there are so many things in the way you can become engaged in this community through our advisory boards, through our nonprofit boards, through 101 class, et cetera, to get more intimate with how the city is run and the things that happen and take place. And I encourage you to do that and step up to the plate, and that maybe one day you run for office as well. So there's plenty of opportunities for everybody to help and support this community. And I must be doing something right. It's been a long run, and we'll see how I feel in 2 more years. But thank you all. Appreciate it. And have a Merry, Merry Christmas.
Thank you, John. So now we come to that fun time to adopt our organizational resolution. Can we put that up on the screen? I'm not going to read it. This is the resolution that establishes the time and place and the regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners of the Town of Matthews, and it further establishes its rules of procedure. I would entertain a motion to adopt this.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner McCool, second by Commissioner Urban. All in favor? Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you. Now come out to item 15, elect our mayor pro tem.
I'd like to make the motion.
In 1 second.
So I was ahead of you.
Yeah. I just want to say that it's been our tradition here in Matthews ever since I can remember, for many, many years, probably several decades, that the person who received the most votes was that ran for commissioner was elected the mayor pro tem. And I certainly would like to continue that tradition tonight. And Gina Hoover was the highest vote getter. Commissioner McCool.
I would like to make a motion that we elect Gina Hoover as the next mayor pro tem of the town of Matthews.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Second by Commissioner Threet. Almost Mayor Pro Tem Hoover, do you have a comment? I didn't. I was Mayor Pro Tem twice, but I think we established that you're supposed to vote. I think so. Isn't that right, Lori? Is that right, Mr. Buckley? Now sometimes we've abstained and sometimes we haven't, but hey, vote. Okay, Commissioner, before we vote, Commissioner Tufano has a comment.
Yes, over the years, I've learned to love Gina Hoover. She's an incredible woman. She has such a love for the people of Matthews, and she fights so hard in any way she can for anyone that she feels needs her assistance. She's tried many times to be a commissioner and has failed numerously, but now she's here and she's about to become Mayor Pro Tem. For those of you that don't know her well, I hope that you get to know her well, because she is a lovely lady, a sweet lady. She's a mom, a grandmother, and she's lived here all her life. And she's just, I couldn't be more thrilled to call her Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner McCool, a second by Commissioner Threet to elect Gina Hoover as our Mayor Pro Tem. If there's no further discussion, all in favor? Any opposed? Congratulations, Mayor Pro Tem Hoover. So item 16 is to consider council appointments, and we have decided to move this to our first meeting in January because there was a lot of, I don't want to say hemming and hawing, but a lot of people discussing perhaps different committees that they wanted to serve on. And so I think we need to work together and iron this out and find out who's going to serve where. If anybody wants to do some horse trading and in the meantime, without my involvement, please do so. But we have Lori, we can send out the current assignments. So I think everybody knows where they are, but you can see where other people are as well. And we can discuss this. And I'd like to work this out for our first meeting so that we have all of our assignments done.
To the next meeting?
No, it was removed.
Oh, it was
removed in the agenda.
Okay, thanks.
I don't have a mayor's report tonight. I'm about to lose my voice. I intended to read the 32 folks that were our hometown heroes, our military veterans that have their pictures up over town. I will certainly do that at our next meeting. It's a very great honor for those of you who don't know, but we honor our military veterans here every year by hanging their picture up all over town around Veterans Day. And I certainly want to read all those brave soldiers' names into the record at our next meeting. And boy, my voice is just about gone, so I'll turn it over to Mr. Buckley.
No report, Mayor.
Town Manager?
Very briefly, Mr. Mayor, members of the board, you'll recall at our last meeting, there was a discussion about the potential of a drone show, as well as a discussion related to the need to move fireworks if they are to continue. And so just a brief update that staff is continuing to work with Mecklenburg County on that potential. The Sportsplex may be an option, but they're working through fallout zones with the fire marshal as well as some of the Mecklenburg County management staff to see if that is a feasible option. And so we do expect that we will have formalization of any potentials as well as a recommendation at your first meeting in January. Thank you.
If I could follow up on that. A few of us, including myself, a couple times by different media outlets have been asked to comment on a drone show, and I am not in favor of spending nearly triple what it costs to do. I certainly also have said that I would be in favor of moving it away from the Mara site so that the debris field doesn't fall on Hampton Green. But if we can do it in the Sportsplex, I'd like to do a traditional fireworks show And I've been saying that in interviews, but again, I'm one of 7, so I would be interested to know what the rest of the board thinks on that. Commissioner Tefano?
I'm with you, Coach.
Thanks, Mark. Anybody else?
I concur with you as well.
So again, the idea is to get the debris field as far away from residential areas as possible, and also the noise away from residential to some degree as well. So everybody else kind of on board with that?
Mayor, I think it's an interesting opportunity to provide a diverse experience for Matthews, that it could be a draw for the region where people with sensitivity to noise or post-traumatic stress disorder could feel welcome in celebrating the 4th of July. So I don't want to close that door. I want to continue the discussion going forward. I think that, as a town that loves veterans and expresses support for veterans, this is a great opportunity for us to have a bigger discussion about the impact of fireworks on people in the town and in the region.
Anybody that hasn't spoken on this item care to comment?
I had one thing.
Sure.
I do just want to add that we were contacted by the drone producer, and it sounds like there was some likely movement on the cost. So we were working on that as well. So again, more to come in January, but certainly understand that it is a new idea and may or may not work out here. So more to come after the new year.
But no fireworks on New Year's, at least from the town. Right. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting. So I second that.
Motion by Commissioner Threet, second by Commissioner Fano. Leon's first motion of many, I suppose. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight. We really appreciate you.
I'm gonna give you a call as soon as you can have a shirt on. Sunglasses? Give you a call from the big center.